They thought they broke me. They thought I'd crumble. But what they didn't know, I was 10 steps ahead. And by the end of that night, they weren't just embarrassed, they were destroyed. My name is Olivia. And this is the story of how my wedding day turned into the most savage revenge I've ever pulled off. It all started 6 months before the wedding. I was engaged to Daniel, tall, charming, successful. On paper, he was perfect. And I loved him. I really did. But there was one problem. His family. Especially his mother, Linda, and his older sister, Rebecca. From the moment Daniel introduced me to them, I knew something was off. Linda looked me up and down like I was a stain on her expensive carpet. Rebecca? She didn't even bother hiding her disgust. She literally turned her back on me mid-conversation. Daniel always brushed it off. They're just protective, he'd say. Give them time. So I gave them time. I smiled through the passive-aggressive comments. I ignored the jokes about my job, my background, my clothes. I played nice. Because I loved Daniel. And I thought, maybe, just maybe, they'd come around. Spoiler alert, they didn't. 2 months before the wedding, things got worse. Linda started sending me helpful articles about skincare, weight loss, etiquette classes. One time, she literally sent me a link to a charm school with the message, "Thought this might be useful for you, dear." I showed Daniel. He laughed it off. "She's just old-fashioned," he said. Old-fashioned? No. She was cruel. But I kept quiet. I didn't want to cause drama. Not yet. Rebecca, meanwhile, made it her mission to remind me I wasn't good enough for their family. At a family dinner, she asked, in front of everyone, if I even knew how to use the fancy silverware at their country club. She smirked when I hesitated. Daniel squeezed my hand under the table, but he didn't defend me. Not once. That's when I realized something. Daniel loved me, sure. But he loved his family more. And if I married him, I'd be fighting this battle alone. Still, I didn't back out. Because by then, I had a plan. The week before the wedding, Linda called me. "Olivia, dear," she said in that fake sweet voice. "I need to discuss something important." I braced myself. "What is it?" "Well, Rebecca and I have been talking. And we think, maybe you should reconsider the dress you chose." I blinked. "Excuse me. It's a bit much. For someone of your background. We don't want people to think Daniel married beneath him." I went silent. My hands were shaking. But I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just said very calmly, "I'll think about it." Linda sounded pleased. Good girl. That night, I sat in my apartment and cried. Not because they hurt me, though they did. But because I knew what I had to do. And it was going to be brutal. The wedding day arrived. Everything looked perfect. The venue was stunning. A gorgeous garden estate with fairy lights, flowers everywhere, a live band. I'd spent months planning every detail. And I looked amazing. My dress? A custom-designed masterpiece. Linda could shove her opinions where the sun doesn't shine. But here's the thing. I knew Linda and Rebecca had something planned. I'd overheard them whispering at the rehearsal dinner. Something about putting me in my place. I didn't know what it was. But I was ready. The ceremony went smoothly. Daniel looked at me like I was the only person in the world. For a moment, I almost forgot about his family. Almost. Then came the reception. Everything was fine at first. People were dancing, laughing, toasting. I was floating on adrenaline and champagne. Then Linda stood up to give a speech. Oh, this is it, I thought. Here we go. She smiled sweetly at the crowd. I just want to say a few words about our new daughter-in-law, Olivia. The room went quiet. Daniel squeezed my hand. I squeezed back, but I didn't look at him. I kept my eyes on Linda. You know, Linda continued, when Daniel first told us he was dating Olivia, we were surprised. A few nervous laughs from the crowd. She's not exactly what we imagined for him. No college degree. A retail job. Not quite the pedigree we expected. The room went dead silent. I could feel people staring at me. Daniel's face turned red. Mom. But Linda wasn't done. Of course, we support Daniel's choices. Even if they're unconventional. So let's all raise a glass to Olivia. May she rise to the occasion. She smiled. The crowd awkwardly clapped. Some people looked horrified. Others looked uncomfortable. And me? I didn't cry. I didn't flinch. I just smiled. Because it was my turn. I stood up slowly. Everyone's eyes were on me. Linda looked smug. Rebecca was grinning. Daniel looked panicked. "Thank you, Linda," I said sweetly. "That was something. I'd like to say a few words too, if that's okay." Linda's smile faltered. But she nodded. "Of course, dear." I picked up my glass. My hands were steady. My voice was calm. And I said, "You know, Linda, you're right. I'm not what you expected. I didn't go to some fancy school. I didn't grow up in a mansion. I worked for everything I have. And I'm proud of that." The crowd murmured in agreement. Linda's smile was frozen. "But here's the thing," I continued. "You think you're better than me because of where you came from. Because of your money. Your status. Your perfect little family." I paused. Let the tension build. But I know the truth. Linda's face went pale. Rebecca stopped smiling. "See, I've spent the last 6 months being the perfect fiancé. Smiling through your insults. Ignoring your cruelty. And in that time, I learned a lot about your family. Things you probably thought nobody would ever find out." Daniel stood up. "Olivia, what are you?" "Sit down, Daniel," I said firmly. He sat. I turned back to Linda. "Let's start with you, Linda. You love talking about class and pedigree, right? Well, I did some digging. And I found out that before you married Daniel's father, you were broke. Like eviction notice broke. You married him for his money. And when he wanted a prenup, you convinced him not to sign one by lying about being pregnant." Gasps erupted. Linda's face turned bright red. "That's not." "Oh, I have the emails," I said calmly. "From your old college roommate. The one you ghosted after you got rich. She was very chatty." Linda looked like she'd been slapped. The room was dead silent. I turned to Rebecca. "And you, Miss Perfect. You love reminding me how successful you are, right? Your fancy marketing job? Your influencer lifestyle?" Rebecca glared at me. "What's your point?" "My point is you're a fraud. Your company? The one you brag about? You got fired 3 months ago for stealing client designs and selling them to competitors. You've been living off credit cards and your parents ever since." Rebecca's face drained of color. How did you?" "I have friends in your industry," I said simply. "They talk." The crowd was buzzing now. People were whispering, pointing. Linda and Rebecca looked like they wanted to disappear. But I wasn't done. I turned to the whole room. "Here's the thing. These people spent months trying to make me feel small. Like I wasn't good enough. Like I didn't belong. And you know what? I almost believed them." I looked at Daniel. His face was unreadable. But then I realized something. People who are truly confident, truly classy, they don't tear others down. They lift them up. And these two. I gestured to Linda and Rebecca. They're bullies. Nothing more. I raised my glass. So here's my toast. To honesty. To kindness. And to never letting anyone make you feel less than you are. The crowd erupted in applause. People were cheering. Some were even crying. Linda and Rebecca? They grabbed their bags and stormed out. They didn't even say goodbye. After the reception, Daniel found me outside. I was sitting alone, staring at the stars. "That was intense," he said quietly. I didn't look at him. "Your mom insulted me in front of everyone. What did you expect?" "I know. And I'm sorry. I should have defended you. I should have stood up to them a long time ago." "Yeah," I said. "You should have." He sat down next to me. "I'm going to fix this. I'm going to set boundaries with them. I promise." I turned to him. "Daniel, I love you. But if you don't keep that promise, we're done. I'm not spending my life being their punching bag." He nodded. "I understand. And you know what? He did keep his promise." Over the next few months, Daniel cut back contact with Linda and Rebecca. He called them out when they crossed the line. He chose me. It wasn't perfect. But it was progress. As for Linda and Rebecca, let's just say karma had a field day. Linda's friends found out about her past, and she was quietly uninvited from her fancy social clubs. Rebecca's credit card debt caught up with her, and she had to move back in with her parents. Me. I'm doing great. I got promoted at work. Daniel and I bought a house. And we're building a life together. On our terms, not his family's. So here's the lesson I learned. Never let anyone make you feel small. Not your in-laws, not your boss, not anyone. Stand up for yourself. Know your worth. And when someone tries to tear you down, show them exactly who you are. Because trust me, they'll regret underestimating you. My name is Olivia. And I didn't cry. I got even.